Night vision is known for being expensive, but there are ways to make it cheaper, and I think I got a perfect example here. Today I'll show you my friend's very budget-friendly TOAD-14 build. Before I talk about this device, I need to mention that the tube was €385 and the housing around 300, so with the battery, import access and whatnot, we can call this a €700 Gen 2 monocular. Don't let the 14 in the name fool you, because aside from also being a monocular, the TOAD is nothing like the well-known previous 14. Let's take a closer look, starting from the front. The TOAD uses a Pentax lens made for CCTV cameras, which attaches via the front camera mount. At first I expected the performance to be bad, but to be real, this thing surprised the hell out of me. The clarity and light transmission seem pretty good, considering that the lens was absolutely not made for night vision goggles. The lens produces a distortion-free image with very little flare, no major hooping or any other kind of artifacting. This lens has an inbuilt iris, which is a very welcome feature substituting for the lack of manual gain. Here you can see me close and open the iris. Unfortunately, the lens has a very annoying issue with the controls. The focus and iris adjusters are packed so close together that more often than not you end up spinning both at the same time. This becomes especially bad when wearing gloves. One upside to the C-mount lens is the replacements being so cheap. Here are some examples. With prices like that, you don't really have to concern yourself with getting sacrificial lens for airsoft and such. Moving on to the body, you can see the standard LXC battery pod with only two buttons, one to turn the device on and second one for the onboard IR light. Here you can see something I strongly dislike about the LXC pods. The weird and unusual battery format. 10440 batteries are much harder to find than standard AA's and even CR123A's. I get that having rechargeable batteries can be great, but I don't really see the application with NV where I change the batteries maybe once a month, even with heavy use. I also need to mention the strength of the IR light, which is extremely bright. Here you can see it compared to the IR light on my Clara, which is in my opinion bright enough for anything you're ever gonna run into. Back to the things I like. The TOAD mounts using a J-arm thread just like the previous 14. My friend here uses a Rhino 2 mount with a bayonet J-arm, which I found to be both stable and adjustable. Going to the last part of the body, the ocular lens. I believe that these lenses are proprietary to the TOAD because I haven't seen them anywhere else. The clarity is pretty good with no visible distortion and no noticeable chromatic aberration. Size-wise, the ocular is plenty big for the 40 degrees field of view which the TOAD offers. Here I'm comparing the ocular lens to my Clara. My only complaint would be the adjustments being a bit choppy, so it takes quite the effort to get it adjusted right. Before I start talking about the tube, I need to mention the pain that was actually building this unit. When both the tube and the housing got to my friend's place, he decided to try and build the unit himself with zero prior experience and no idea what collimation is. I'd call that commendable, yeah. After trying the device out for an hour, he was telling me about all these headaches and the image not overlaying right. So I told him to bring it in and oh Lord have mercy. The collimation was way off, I mean at least 8 degrees off center. I'd even go as far to call it unusable. I took the unit apart and the issue was immediately visible. The contact prongs were pushing the tube to the side and messing up the collimation. This could have been prevented if the housing had better tolerances, but whatever. With this price I didn't expect mil-spec performance. So fixing time it is. I went back to my engineering flowchart and you guessed it. I kept adding layers of tape to one side of the tube until the image became centered. Is this a good way to fix the issue? No, but did it work? I also did some basic stuff like cleaning out all the serial and dust. I even installed the IR light indicator the right way so it finally became at least a little visible. While I was fixing the damn knot at I think 2 AM, I couldn't help but notice the cum stain looking mark on the tube's input side, but I'll touch on that when we get to the tube itself. The whole installation went well with the image centered and no debris on the screen. Last but not least, the tube, which got its own issues, and a lot of them. First off, this is the listing my friend bought the tube from. Standard MX1160, around 1400 foam, no auto-gating, typical Gen 2 stuff, you know. Here we can even see the blend which makes the tube so cheap. After around a week of waiting, the tube arrived to my friend's place. Unfortunately, the housing took around 2 more months to arrive from, I think you can guess where. This was the pic my friend sent me after turning the device on for the first time. What in the fuck are those lines, man? My friend suggested that the tube got damaged in shipping, but I couldn't see a way of that happening. We both agreed that he should message the seller. Luckily this blem, or more specifically photocutout defect, only shows in a highlight and doesn't seem to get any bigger, so it's fine I guess. Now that we covered all the parts, we can take a look at all the ins and outs of actually running this car recovery device. At first I was very skeptical, as anyone who knows a thing or two about night vision, but I can confidently say that this device is very much usable. Despite the tube looking more abused than that $500 Facebook Marketplace project car you found the other day, the blimps are not really that bad, especially in darker conditions where all except the center one basically disappear. Here you can see the level of detail on a moonless night with heavy cloud cover. One thing I don't like about this tube is the output brightness in conjunction with no manual gain. The image ends up being too bright for comfort, but I mean, we're going the cheapest way, so I didn't expect comfort. As I mainly use the Clara and the Type 85, using a monocular again was honestly refreshing. Mainly with the weight savings, as this device comes in at only 251 grams with the battery installed. Well, to sum up this hell of a review, if I was given €700 and told to get into night vision, I don't think I'd be able to do a much better job. Though the real question is, wouldn't it be easier to save up just a tad more and buy something you can actually trust? I've seen Chinese TOAD-14 Yaxa housings fitted with Gen 3 tubes for around €1,300 or even less, which seems very solid. Well, in the end, this is a very subjective topic, and everyone seems to have their own approach, which I greatly respect. I also could have gotten something much more usable with my budget, but I mean, I still ended up getting an obsolete Gen 2 biocolor, so what am I even saying? Well, in the end, both me and my friend here can see at night to a decent extent, which I think is all that matters. Before I leave, I want to quickly thank my friend who loaned me this unit. So, thanks Peach.
Banger.